Good evening and thank you for joining us. Hong Kong China's football team is now playing Singapore in an important Asian Cup qualifier at Kai Tak Stadium. The score at halftime is Hong Kong 1, Singapore 0. Fans were cheering outside the venue before the match began. Celine Chan tells us more.
The Hong Kong team faced Singapore tonight at the Kai Tak Sports Park in a crucial Asian Cup qualifier where nothing less than a win is good enough. Fans were already warming up their vocal cords ahead of the occasion. Tickets for the high-stake match sold out in under 2 hours, leaving supporters scrambling outside the venue. Mr. Fong said he failed to purchase a ticket and still went to the stadium hoping to get one. This sea of red home supporters was dotted with a touch of blue, some 2,000 Singaporean fans who've travelled to Hong Kong specially to cheer on their team.
We need to be here to support our team to make sure that we get the result that we want. Yes, we are absolutely confident in the team. I think the team has been playing well.
With the teams having drawn in their previous encounter, tonight's winner will claim the ticket to the Asian Cup. If this match ends in a draw, which team advances will depend entirely on the outcome of the final round of matches. Celine Chan, TVB News.
An investigation into the fatal Emirates cargo plane crash last month found that one of the aircraft's engines accelerated upon touching down, according to a preliminary report. The Aircraft Accident Investigation Authority said the weather conditions at the time of the incident did not have an adverse effect on the plane's navigation and telecommunication systems. It was found that while the thrust levers of 3 of the aircraft's engines were closed, the 4th engine's thrust lever was in the full 4 thrust position. This, as the Transport and Logistics Bureau noted, investigating parties will focus on this detail from this point onwards. The city's 2 power companies are lowering net electricity fees. CLP Power and Hong Kong Electric announced that residents will pay 2.6% and 2.2% less for electricity starting next year, respectively. Timothy Lee tells us more.
The 2 power companies announced their first fee reduction in about a year. The current net electricity bill comprised of fees for the basic electricity and fuel charges. Starting next year, CLP Power will increase its basic tariff by 3.3% to 101.2 cents per kilowatt hour, but will reduce its fuel surcharge by more than 10% to 39.4 cents per kilowatt hour. The new net tariff will then drop to 140.6 cents, which is a decrease of 2.6% year-on-year. Hong Kong Electric, meanwhile, will reduce its net tariff to 163.3 cents per kilowatt hour. It will increase its basic rate by 4.1% to 127.9 cents, but will also decrease its fuel surcharge by around 20% to 35.4 cents per unit of electricity. Using a family of 3 that uses 275 kilowatt hours per month as an example, the changes mean they can save around $10 per month once the measure is implemented.
Joseph
Law, CLP Power's managing director, noted that while fuel prices remained in fluctuation owing to complex geopolitical factors, there was a noticeable stabilization in prices during the second half of this year. Hong Kong Electric Chief Executive Officer Francis Cheng said various factors led to the increase of the basic tariff, such as a rising trend of extreme weather conditions. The 2 power providers said the tariffs could be lowered largely thanks to the assistance of a power tariff stabilization fund. Speaking on the power tariff measures, Secretary for Environment and Ecology, Tse Jun-wan, said residents should still maintain an environmentally friendly attitude and reduce electricity consumption. Timothy Lee, TVB News.
The Executive Council has approved a proposal by the Hong Kong University of Science and Technology, or HKUST, to establish the city's 3rd medical school. The government says the decision was made after a holistic assessment taking into account financial capability and 9 other criteria. HKUST is expected to enroll its first batch of 50 medical students in 2028. A task group led by the Health Bureau and the Education Bureau has spent a year reviewing submissions by HKUST, Polytechnic University and Baptist University before reaching its final recommendation. Secretary for Health Lo Chong-mao says he has confidence in HKUST's ability to follow through on this proposal. HKUST will follow the government's positioning by admitting second-degree students, meaning applicants who already hold a degree, and will develop its program in a complementary manner with Hong Kong's existing 2 medical schools. The first intake in 2028 will include 50 students, with the first graduates expected in 2032. Lo stressed that the decision was based on overall strategic, financial, and academic considerations without using a scoring system. Lo said HKUST is already very strong in life sciences, AI, big data, and neuroscience. He notes that HKUST's funding model, in which the university and the government contribute roughly equal amounts over the next 25 years, covering both capital works and recurrent expenses, aligns with policy expectations. HKUST will invest $2 billion of its own funds to construct a medical school building at its Clearwater Bay campus. Lo stressed that this does not mean the government is giving up the planned site in Yau Tan Mei, which will only be completed in the 2034-35 academic year at the soonest, so interim arrangements are required.
The teaching hospital in Yau Tan Mei will not be ready for quite a while. We will need to rely on some other teaching hospitals, and which is actually included in the proposal by UST. This is also the reason that we have to seek the support from the hospital authority, which is the main service provider, healthcare service provider in Hong Kong.
On admissions, the government said the new medical school will follow the same rules as other publicly funded universities and can enroll up to 50% non-local students. Secretary for Education Christine Choi says the aim is to train doctors who will serve Hong Kong's healthcare system, and medical professionals are expected to be proficient in biliterate and trilingual communication. So the third medical school will adopt similar language requirements at both admissions and curriculum levels. Under the influence of the intense northeast monsoon, local weather is expected to become appreciably cooler tonight. The minimum temperature will be about 14 degrees in the urban areas tomorrow morning. It will be cold over parts of the new territories. Besides, wind chill effect will be rather significant. The weather will improve with temperatures rising gradually over southern China in the latter part of this week. Welcome back. Sino-Japanese relations remain tense days after Japanese Prime Minister Sanae Takaichi told the Deed that a contingency in Taiwan could constitute a situation threatening Japan's survival. Daniel Rao has more.
On Monday, China's Maritime Safety Administration issued a navigation warning stating that from Tuesday for 8 consecutive days, there will be live fire exercises in parts of the southern Yellow Sea, and vessels are prohibited from entering. The administration also announced last Saturday that live fire drills would be held in the central Yellow Sea from Monday to Wednesday. With tensions persisting, Beijing has recently advised Chinese citizens to avoid traveling to Japan for the time being. Mainland media reports that some travel agencies in Shanghai have a cancellation rate exceeding 60%. A Beijing travel agency told TVB that travelers have begun voluntarily dropping out of Japan tour groups. Kyodo News reports that some travel agencies in Beijing have suspended handling Japan individual and group tours since last Sunday. Searching for keywords like Tokyo on their official websites no longer returns tourism products. Some mainland airlines have suspended routes to Japan. Sichuan Airlines has cancelled all flights between Chengdu and Sapporo from January 1st to March 28th next year. It is reported that 9 Air and Spring Airlines have cancelled flights between Guangzhou and Osaka, among others. It is reported that since last Saturday, Chinese airlines have recorded about 490,000 cancellations of tickets to Japan, accounting for 32% of total bookings. The film industry is also affected. Sal's at Work was originally scheduled for release this Saturday. This and next month's animated film Crayon Shin-Chan will have their mainland releases postponed, according to CCTV. As for Demon Slayer Infinity Castle, which has been in mainland cinemas for less than a week and has grossed about 400 million yuan, online ticketing for the coming days remains available. The Japanese embassy in China has issued a safety advisory reminding Japanese nationals in China to ensure their personal safety and to travel in groups where possible. Masaki Kanai, Director General of the Asian and Oceanian Affairs Bureau at Japan's Foreign Ministry, arrived in Beijing and went to China's Ministry of Foreign Affairs in the morning. He is expected to meet with Liu Jun-song, Director General of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs Department of Asian Affairs. In Beijing, the foreign ministry stated it will continue to lodge stern representations and strong protest to Japan over Takeichi's erroneous remarks on Taiwan. It reiterated that the four China-Japan political documents contain clear provisions regarding the Taiwan issue, constitute a solemn commitment by the Japanese government, carry the force of international law, and allow no ambiguity or distortion. Danaral TV News.
The UN Security Council approved a U.S. plan for Gaza that authorizes an international stabilization force to provide security in the devastated territory and envisions a possible future path to an independent Palestinian state. Danny Rao tells us more.
The US drafted Resolution 2803 won the support of 13 council members. Russia, which has presented a competing draft resolution, abstained along with China. The US and other countries had hoped Moscow would not use its veto power on the United Nations' most powerful body to block the resolution's adoption. The vote was a crucial next step for the fragile ceasefire and efforts to outline Gaza's future following 2 years of war between Israel and Hamas. The resolution endorses US President Donald Trump's 20-point ceasefire plan. It calls for the stabilization force to ensure the process of demilitarizing the Gaza Strip and of the permanent decommissioning of weapons from non-state armed groups. A big question is how to disarm Hamas, which has not fully accepted that step. It authorizes the force to use all necessary measures to carry out its mandate in compliance with international law, which is UN language for the use of military force. The resolution says the stabilization troops will help secure border areas along with a Palestinian police force that they have trained and vetted, and they will coordinate with other countries to secure the flow of humanitarian assistance. It says the force should closely consult and cooperate with neighboring Egypt and Israel. U.S. Ambassador to the UN Mike Waltz heralded the resolution.
This resolution today is just the beginning. An adoption of resolution today demonstrates the overwhelming support for the President's vision for a stable Gaza where Palestinians determine their own destiny, free from terrorist rule and violence.
However, Hamas criticized the resolution for not meeting the political and humanitarian needs of the Palestinian people, particularly those in Gaza. Hamas added the proposal seeks to impose outcomes Israel failed to achieve militarily and separates Gaza from the rest of the Palestinian territory in a way that undermines Palestinian national rights. The group also warned assigning tasks to an international force inside Gaza would compromise the force's neutrality and turn it into a party to the conflict. Danaral TV News.
The U.S. House is expected to vote later today to force the Justice Department to publicly release its files on the late financier Jeffrey Epstein, the culmination of a months-long effort that has overcome opposition from President Donald Trump and Republican leadership. Trump on Monday said he would sign the bill if it passes both chambers of Congress.
Sure, I would. Let the Senate look at it. Let anybody look at it. But don't talk about it too much because, honestly, I don't want to take it away from us. It's really a Democrat problem. The Democrats were Epstein's friends, all of them. And it's a hoax. The whole thing is a hoax. And I don't want to take it away from really the greatness of what the Republican Party has accomplished over the last period of time.
An international forum on China's economy and policy was held in the government headquarters today. Chief Executive John Lee met with two of the attendees, Nobel Prize laureates in economics Joseph Stiglitz and Michael Spence, after the main event. And the economists shared their insights on Hong Kong.
A place where there's a common law, rule of law, English as a language. You didn't talk about that as much, but that's important if you're as a bridge between China and the rest of the world. I think having a flexible, agile bridge is going to be more important.
I'm kind of cautiously optimistic. I think under your administration, you've gotten through the most difficult period.
The two economists held discussions with John Lee for half an hour, covering topics such as AI and geopolitics. Lee said he looks forward to their continued recommendations for Hong Kong. A public toilet in Lan Kwai Fong has been named Hong Kong's best public restroom of the year. The Hong Kong Toilet Association inspected more than 300 public toilets across the city and awarded the Lan Kwai Fong facility the Gold Prize, noting its clean, dry, and odor-free environment, as well as its modern interior that complements the district's international character. The Silver Prize went to the Campton City Public Toilet. The Kachik Street Garden restroom in Saiwan, which had been rated the most urgently in need of improvement 2 years ago, won bronze this year, after being refurbished by the Leisure and Cultural Services Department. As for the facility in greatest need of improvement this year, the association named the public toilet on Kowloon City Road, citing filthy conditions, broken cubicles, and damaged washing facilities. And before we go, a quick programming reminder again. Tomorrow's news at 7:30 will continue to start a little later at 9 p.m. So thank you for staying with us. Have a great evening.